Vega squadrons turn to ban. Ten seconds remaining. Radiant team ban. Vega squadrons turn to ban. Radiant team pick.
Vengeful spirits.
Vega squadrons turn to pick.
Death prophet.
Vega squadrons turn to pick. Radiant team pick.
Witch Doctor.
Radiant team ban. 10 seconds remaining. 5 seconds remaining. Reserve time.
Welcome back, everybody. It was, unfortunately, drafted really quickly, so we gotta jump right into it. Capitalism joined by Blaze. Blaze, what do we got for drafting-wise in this game, too, between Vega Squadron and Team Spirit?
Well, quite surprisingly, we have a Chen pick. I honestly thought that this was going to be a hero that got banned out in Phase 1 in both games, but we see that while it was taken care of in the first game alongside the Wisp, this time it is going to be let through. So we're going to see the Chen in play alongside the Death Prophet, and then Team Spirit are actually going right now for both supports. And this Venge, of course, fills into that carry role, which is still possible, but usually you don't Venge with that in mind. You say, okay, she's versatile, yes, but we pick her because she's Venge and for the support role. And then if the draft goes in an unpredictable fashion, then your fourth or fifth pick could be another support, and then you just swap the Venge into the farming position. But yeah, all in all, I would have to say that right now I'm more comfortable with what Vega have going for them. They've run the Death Prophet plenty of times and the Chen as well, and just the fact that the Chen isn't in Galblack's hand is already going to be kind of halting Team Spirit's momentum. Of course, you do have to rely on creep spawns a little bit here, but they'll ban out the Enchantress. I'm curious if they ban out any other anti-Chen heroes, because I mean, the Witch Doctor already, the Paralyzing Cask is really strong.
Yeah, I guess it would have been interesting if they had run like an offlane Enchantress or a carry Venge. That if they had both Witch Doctor and Enchantress, like the Chen will not get anything done with his creeps whatsoever. Probably a primary reason went ahead and grabbed both supports. Vengeful Spirit is like a nice lead-in a way, but the Witch Doctor is such a good counter to the Chen in a multitude of ways. Bane and Beastmaster, some very big single-target disables that are taken out of the pool. Why do we think that is? What kind of heroes could that possibly lead up to?
Well, obviously, a hard carry that doesn't want to get disabled is going to have a harder time against the Fiend's Grip and the Primal Roar. The maximum theory crafter in my head wants to say that they're going to pick an Omni Knight, they're going to repel the Witch Doctor, and they don't want anything to go through and cancel it. But no, that's something a Chen just grabs a troll, Dark Troll Summoner, and you're screwed anyways. Or Chronosphere, hell yeah. So yeah, I think that Vega have a pretty good read on this. They know that Team Spirit are banning lockdown, so they say we'll pick up the ultimate BKB piercing disable in this chrono, and it should be quite effective overall. Now, it will kind of shift how their draft plays out, because that was not an ultra push lineup. It's not a
Vega
Nature's Prophet in this
Squadron's
offlane,
turn to
it's a
pick.
Void. So while he brings good disable and control, he's much more mid and late than early game focus. So Chen is going to try to win them the lanes, DP is going to try to snowball the objectives, and Void is going to allow them to win fights as the game progresses.
Yeah, as soon as I asked that question, when about the single target disables, I was looking at that mid lane and I was going, OD would very clearly
10
be a great
seconds
pickup,
remaining.
right? Because that is one of the things. OD cannot be afford to be
seconds
disabled
remaining.
for long durations, and he's one of the few heroes that can do okay
Reserve
against
time.
Death Prophet, because you've got the anytime he tries to run forward and siphon you, you've got Astral Imprisonment to throw on him, and you can run back, break the link, etc. So OD is actually one of the few heroes that can do okay in this matchup, and works pretty well against some of these disables. But I really like Vega Squad's lineup so far. The synergy between Faces Void and honestly any of these big intelligence mids. Like I've been picking up a lot of Faces Void lately, and
Yeah.
I have to say, like anytime I've got Invoker, OD, or Death Prophet, it's just like an excuse for me to pick Faces Void,
Radiant
because
team pick.
why the hell not?
Yeah, how could you not, dude? That hero just brings so much. Like, you can't die unless they have the perfect lineup to kill you in the off lane. A little bit of Iron Talon, you're always going to get your key items. And then, like, every mid hero, even Queen of Pain, is perfectly fine with it. Even Lina is fine with following up the Faces Void. Like, you could do just whatever, as long as it's even a remotely traditional draft, Void is going to be able to contribute in a major way. But
10
I find this very
seconds remaining.
interesting that they're going to still be adding push onto this. This is something that I have not really
5
seen from any
seconds
team
remaining.
before, is going for heavy push and then throwing a Void on top. It's
Reserve
like,
time.
it seems like it's two different ideas, but I could still see how it could work.
Yeah, I wonder if this if Faces Void. You know, I actually had a game like this where we ran a little bit, like we ran DP Faces Void, and we had some carry that didn't actually focus on physical damage. I can't remember. Maybe it was like gyrocopters. And I remember thinking, is this like the one time that I don't get Vlads on Faces Void? Just because, you know, I kind of wanted that faster blink dagger and such for the initiation. But at the same time, in this sort of scenario where you are going for a heavy push, that was just solely out of the fact that I didn't necessarily have right clickers to take advantage of the command aura. But in this sort of setup where you've got this heavy push lineup, the early auras, especially the armor, is going to be pretty helpful
Vega
for
Squadron's
heroes
turn
like
to
Death
ban.
Prophet and even Chen and some of his creeps. So Team Spirit are gonna have to find some way to deal with this early push. But they also can't afford to put too much early game, because obviously this lineup could easily just
10
go late as
seconds
well.
remaining.
Death Prophet is incredibly good late game now with Soul Siphon
5
and
seconds
other items
remaining.
being added into the game like Octarine Core. Faces Void is an amazing late game carry. Once he has
Reserve
his
time.
Aghanim Scepter, you go like... I had a game where I went like refresher on Chronos, you know, refresher Faces Void. You know how absurd that is? 12 seconds of AoE lockdown? We run
Just a little bit.
throne race because I double
10
locked down the
seconds
enemy
remaining.
heroes. I locked down the Invoker for 12 seconds and he couldn't stop us from killing the
5
throne.
seconds
Like, what are you
remaining.
gonna do? The hero's just insane late game, so...
Radiant team
How
ban.
do you fight against time itself? I don't know. At this point, Void is the ultimate late game in my mind, as long as you have the heroes that are built around it. You can't really just throw any basic carry. You can't throw a Lycan or really even a Juggernaut into a Chronosphere and get him to do damage, but there's plenty of other heroes that can. As long as you build the right lineup around it,
Vega
I still think
Squadron's
Void
turn to pick.
should have the most potential in the late game, and we're going to even see greater optimizations on his build pass. I mean, yeah, the Vladimir's is definitely going to be a pickup this game. There's just so many good reasons for it, but I still feel like that item in of itself is overrated. Like, it's a 100% item right now on Void, when I could see it being like an 80% as we get down to the end of this patch. But we have plenty of other heroes to talk about here. The Shadow Shaman obviously going to be fighting cooldown to
10
cooldown,
seconds
getting
remaining.
towers down early. This is going to be fueling a carry and giving him a lot
5
of extra
seconds
tower
remaining.
gold. So who's going to be dishing out the damage in that chrono? Who's going to be benefiting from that tower gold? It's going to be a Morphling.
Radiant team
That is
pick.
rough. Team Spirit, OD is I think not bad against Morphling necessarily, especially in some of the earlier engagements. His intelligence deal is pretty nice to have against a hero who's so dependent on his mana pool to be able to morph and output abilities. But later on into the game, when you had that full shotgun, and OD usually doesn't have the kind of HP pool to just tank that and you'll walk it off. So that means BKB charges are going to start going out the window. You have this opportunity to just be able to assassinate someone. It's like this weird, Vega Squadron have this weird like potential to push your shit in like real early with like Shadow Shaman and Chen and maybe some Death Prophet exorcisms, but they also have like super late game that I'm not sure if you can contest either. So it seems like Team Spirit got to get a fighting lineup here, fight some of the early push, and then take over the mid game before it gets too late. Because and it's Airblade the hero.
It's a tough question because like I honestly feel like there's a lot of things to consider here. Right now, Vega's draft, like you said, has the all-around focus, very similar to what Spirit had in the previous game. I feel like with Spirit really wanting that Witch Doctor versus Chen matchup, they ended up pigeonholing their draft where their supports are not really equipped to deal with a lot of these heroes. There's no way Witch Doctor Avenge kills a Faceless Void. There's no way they kill a Morphling. It's actually going to be a really tough game for them to find high-level contributions. But beyond that, the cores, let's focus on that. Terrorblade as that last pick. While OD is always a good pick, Tusk definitely can be with the right player, with the right mentality. He doesn't offer that much counter push. He's not going to be able to save his towers from Mass Serpent Wards or anything. And then TB. It's going to be rough for him. I think that there's a lot of magical damage going to be coming out, even just with a basic waveform adaptive strike, Ether Shock. That's going to be enough to put him on edge. And so if they can't keep this TB alive, then we're going to be seeing some real problems for Spirit. And that means I think Ramses is going to have a big shopping list very early. He can't really afford to miss much CS. Luckily, he's against a low contest offlaner.
Lanes are going to be pretty normal here, right? The Tusk off lane, defensive tri-lane on both sides. I was just trying to think if there's anything Team Spirit could do to perhaps put pressure.
I wouldn't put both supports bottom, honestly. I would say, like, just get the longer range supports of the Witch Doctor to zone the Void, because you're not going to kill him with the Avenge being there. She doesn't actually add much to the lane. And I'd like to see her help out the Tusk a little bit, because Tusk is a lot better 2v3 or 2v2 than he is in just a 1v2 situation. Of course, Avenge could start mid, help out the OD a little bit, make the Death Prophet's life harder, and then when Tusk hits 2 at the Ice Shard Snowball kind of peak, then Avenge rotates top and then contributes there. So I would say Always Wanna Fly is going to have some dynamic lanes. Goblak will keep it pretty static, and that'll be the best way they can try to mitigate these effects. Because if you just ignore the fact that Solo is going to be ganking on this Chen, then, or the possibility at least, then you're going to have a really bad time, even on the OD.
Yeah, I like your idea. Support heroes like Shadow Shaman and Oracle, I think, are probably the two prominent in this regard, where they are so incredibly good against solo offlaners because their disables are such long duration. So they can really easily solo zone out any offlaner, and you really just can't contest, because if you try and fight them, you know, one misstep, you wait a bit too long trying to harass them back, and all of a sudden the actual carry moves forward, you get caught by that disable, you give away an early first blood, and the lane turns disaster. But both of those heroes are very actually susceptible to early pressure because they are so single target focused, and they're relatively squishy as well. I think actively trying to contest those lanes is the best thing you can do with aggro dual lanes, aggro lanes even. So I'm completely with you on that one. I actually would love to see the Vengeful Spirit pair up with the Tusk and battle it out with the Shadow Shaman and Morphling. At the very least, if you can get some good vision up, you can keep Chen trying to gank your lane and not just totally free farm the jungle or be ganking mid. And if you, fortunately, hopefully if you have a good enough vision, you don't get caught by the Chen rotations, and everything is...
I think that's really important. That's actually not to be understated at all. I think that dire vision for the first 7 minutes of the game is the dire jungle vision for the Radiant is going to be the most important thing. And they didn't actually go for like a smoke play or a 5-man wrap up top, even though they do have a Tusk, which makes that a little bit better. So you're going to go for this ward here.
Oh, is he trying to
just
go
walk
deeper?
up.
That's not a good idea.
No, that's not gonna work. If obviously if they're going bottom, well, if they were going bottom, Ramses would be dead, I guess. But yeah, if they were going bottom, then that is a play to make. What I like is actually you can, if you don't go for the boots first, you can TP here, then you can run up to this little spot, and you can get a ward just on the high ground. That's really good for, like, it used to be really good for when Alchemist needed the top bounty rune really badly, and you wanted to know what you're up against. You could dodge the 5v5 and just get the Grievel's Greed rune. But even now, I think it's not too shabby because it helps out the mid lane a little bit, and it forces Solo to always go for smoke plays. Solo in general is already much more of farm intensive compared to most Chen players. He'll mostly focus on getting his level 3 up more than anything else in the first couple of minutes, but he has that smoke, and it should enable one opportunity that you have to find a way to break.
The battle begins.
Sad life for Team Spirit. Talking about how important that vision is going to be for them in controlling the Chen, and immediately their ward does get counter out at the top rune, so it'll be limited in the first 6 minutes. We'll see if Team Spirit are still able to make the right kind of rotations. Always Want to Fly is going to start out this lane at mid, helping out the OD against no one. This is one of the things is that Death Prophet can push pretty aggressively against the mid hero that he's matched up against with Soul Siphon. You can go down at level 1 and just really start going for the zoning. So I think I like the play early on, trying to get the OD at least to level 3 and try and keep some pressure on the Death Prophet at the same time. And plus, top lane, you're not going to have a whole lot of kill power just yet. It's only until level 2 that Pasha, with maxed out agility and having that waveform nuke, can easily kill the Tusk.
And the same token goes to the Tusk, is if you want to start contesting that lane, you need the Snowball, because then you have one stun on the Avenge, one stun on the Tusk, and it means the Shackles don't mean much at all, as long as you hold your ability. So just kind of go for an Ice Shard, play in the Shadow Shaman, and run at him. If he tries to turn it, then you have an answer for no matter which hero he actually picks up with the Shackles. So I love the fact that Always Want to Fly starts off here, but he's actually going to start with Wave of Terror. I saw this once, like a couple days ago, and I talked about a lot of reasons why it could be good, but I never settled on one reason why like it actually was the right play to make. Usually it's only a stacking spell, essentially. You stack creeps with it at level 1, but other than that, like, do you have any opinions on the Wave of Terror at level 1?
Yeah, I'm with you on the stacking. That would have been kind of my priority. I guess it makes it easier to last hit, and the enemy hero, while they have Wave of Terror on them, isn't going to be feeling particularly good about trying to play aggressive and harass. But I can't really settle on one good reason either, especially seeing that Always Want to Fly didn't actually stack anything.
Yeah, I mean, of course he does now have both, and the mana efficiency on Wave of Terror is great, but we'll test the theory we had earlier of whether or not Mag's in any trouble. He's just going to TP all the way back to the tier 2. Could have hit the tier 1, not a really big... If he wants to go for some jungle play, though, that's fine. No matter what.
It's there.
Yeah. Like the entire thing? The entire TP?
Yeah, like, I'm pretty sure if he just mans up, right, and he tanks, like, both the supports and their stuns and everything, I'm pretty sure he still is going to time walk, like, 60% of the damage he takes. Middle lane, no, Iceberg, it looks like he's dead. Soul Siphon's going to slow him down long enough that the last couple right clicks come in, and no one will be the one to claim first blood. Afterlife is going to make his rotation over to the mid lane to collect the experience, but Vega Squadron start off with a very early lead.
Yeah, and that's a smokeless rotation. That's just because they killed the ward earlier, that Solo could just walk it in, and there's no Venge to protect. So I really do feel like the Venge's action down bottom, like you were kind of alluding to with the trade there, the time walk, it's a Terrorblade. It's not a Wraith King or any other Chaos Knight or some other follow-up stun. It's a Terrorblade. There's no way he locks on the Void long enough that time walk is the issue. So yeah, I think that Venge just ignores bottom. That rotation from him was kind of odd, and then of course the Iceberg paid the penalty for it.
Well, Mag is going to be getting a lot now in this lane, now that Always Want to Fly is back to the middle lane. He's already level 3, soon to be level 4. I'm not really sure if Tusk can actively, without the Vengeful Spirit going up to the top lane, I don't see any way that Tusk can actually stay close to Mag's levels. Like right now,
I mean, look at
Shadow
Shadow Shaman's build. He's got 2 points in Shackles. There's no way.
Shackles does so much damage now too. Like it's level 2.
So insane.
Level 2, it's 200 damage nuke. You get the full duration, which you always will against an offlaner solo. 200 damage nuke at level 2? That sounds pretty damn good to me. Combine a long duration disable like that.
And that's why if Dusk wants to be involved in the lane at all, it's going to be with the Venge. Is this Satyr actually going to kill the Tusk? No, he's going to keep moving. And Shockwave obviously does a lot of damage, but Dusk has the movement speed. So, yeah, it's still going to be a terrible time for Afterlife. He's going to be stuck at level 3, level 4 for the next 3 or 4 minutes, I would say. He doesn't really have a great answer, and the pull is unlocked. So Sioma just doubles it up, and that's going to be so much experience that Tusk can't even dream to acquire.
Just got the best combination that they could on the bottom lane. They metamorphosed, and they had the cask bounce back to the mag once. And he still, like, undid 50% of the damage there. And with the healing salve was back up to full HP. Mid lane, always want to fly, trying to make his rotation over. Should be pretty obvious, though, by now that they did have a nice, good, aggressive ward. But pretty lucky that their ward didn't actually get spotted out by this counter. If they had chosen, like, this spot farther to the right, that ward would have been taken out, and then they would have been really done on vision. Like, 2 wards taken out in the first 5 minutes. There's so little control against the Chen at that point.
Absolutely, that was a good next level just positioning for that. We're actually hearing the snowball come through. It's on mid, going to be seeing the magic missile fall lit up, so no one should be going down, but will there be any return? Oh, the fairy fire!
The soul siphon, it's enough! No one lives, and it's actually going to be Afterlife that goes down. They're going to turn on to the Chen now. They do have enough for a stun coming up in a second. Oh, always want to fly, just walks at him. The Chen creeps are actually going to get the turnaround kill, it looks like. So double for solo, even if he's not there for the experience. But still, the fact that the Death Prophet gets away, everything for Vega Squadron.
Yeah, like the OD is still happy that he's getting something finally out of his lane consistently, but it's still, even then, a better trade for Vega across the board. The Vengeful Spirit going down again. Like, where does she go? Like, where does I always want to fly call home? The best thing I have for him right now is he dropped a good ward that's unpredictable and out of sentry range. But otherwise, so far, his contribution to this game has been almost non-existent. He really needs to find a way to get involved.
Be smoke ganks between him and the Tusk.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, it kind of feels like the only thing he really can do. Maybe even get Go Black involved as well, and just kind of like overwhelm that middle lane somehow. Because I'm not seeing any real good opportunities at this point for him to do anything solo. The OD does have his level 6, so that's a potential talking point. He can get a couple of arcane orbs onto no one. He will have a pretty decent intelligent advantage.
That's not good though. He's committed in full. He steals some intelligence, but gets ensnared. The exorcism comes out and just nuked down very quickly. So really just trying to get very aggressive in this 1v1 matchup. But this is not a duel between men. This is the entire army of Chen rising up. The jungle, the zoo comes out and just breaks him down. Now this tier 1 tower will fall quickly, as you would expect with these kinds of heroes coming into play. And I mean, the Shadow Shaman is going to hit 6 soon too. This is going to be a 2 tier 1 tower advantage for Vega, and you're still sitting on level 4 on 2 heroes for Spirit.
I like the early pickup of Exorcism. Death Prophets that see a much more passive laning phase that involves a lot of farming in 1v1 matchups. They go 4-0-4 and don't get Exorcism until level 9. But here, after a quick kill on the OD, gets Exorcism with the Chen. They easily take the tower. And now he can put more pressure on some of the side lanes now that his lane is pushed in. He doesn't want to be there anyway, so he actually finds the perfect rune to do so. He's going to find Afterlife here on the top lane with his Invis rune and might have the opportunity to run him down. Afterlife has an angle. Maybe he can do some sort of snowball play, but it seems pretty futile. Goes down without even trying, and it's probably for the best anyway.
So that is going to be now 2 tier 1s as well as 4 kills in their favor. They've got level 6 on and more and all of their heroes. They will wait for the exorcism cooldown, but at that point they can start just moving as 3, even just 3 heroes. Like usually I'll say 4. I'll say 1 hero's farming and 4 move to take objectives. But in this case, 3 heroes will be enough just because of how strong the Chen is by comparison to heroes like Venge.
Bag's now got his level 7, so rack up that 6-second cooldown on Time Walk. Chronosphere ready to go at any point in time. They want to gank this bottom lane. No one's going to make the rotation. They'll catch always want to fly. They actually stop him with the ensnare. Good play by Solo. And obviously no need for a Chronosphere. The support is very much dead. Vega Squadron with their push lineup. We talked about it in the draft. They can take control nice and early, and they're doing exactly that. They're going to take all the outer tier 1 towers by about 10 minutes. Team Spirit know they have to strike back somewhere, so they move the Terrorblade into the mid lane. They're going to try and push straight through there. They can easily take the tier 1, but I'm not sure if they're really going to be able to do much else but call it a trade.
Well, the thing is, we're going to see the Exorcism come up. It's already up and available. If they want to go for the tier 2, and then the Master Rewards will be available for 25. So they can look at Roche, they can look at the tier 2 bottom. Like, they have the ultimates to make a full confrontation, and the more Team Spirit push, the more in danger they become. It looks like Iceberg will bail out early, but that leaves a lot of heroes behind.
MCs runs into Pasha. Just kind of scaling these ones. They know they've got more incoming backup. Chronosphere is going to be laid out on Afterlife. He does still have a snowball. They're going to start going on Pasha here, but he easily blows up the Tusk. And with the rest of Vega Squadron coming in from the side, they take out the support Witch Doctor as well. Now they can turn their attention towards Roshan, as you suggested.
Yeah, it's just so easy with these particular heroes. You probably don't even need both the Master Rewards and the Exorcism. They might, just to make sure, but you honestly have just so much physical damage coming out. You have so much to tank this up. It's just going to be free golden experience, and right now they're just not getting enough on the the side lane push. We see this Vengeful Spirit actually went for a max aura build. This is really good with a Terrorblade, really good with an OD because they have so much in their primary attribute, but she has yet to actually join them. She's been just trying to get her level 6 in solo, and as a result, she hasn't really been able to aid to their pushing speed.
Gonna take that Aegis. Death Prophet, who heads up to the top lane to defend that tier 1 tower. No one's going to be the first one in, slowing down Iceberg, counter TP, Slayer, is he going to be there in time? Nope. So not that good of a range, so will not be there. But this means no one's actually going to be finishing up a Yule Scepter very soon. Mag will have his Vlads, and you know, in this point in time, Morphling almost looks like a really damn good hero with the push lineup when you so overwhelmingly taking control of the game that Morphling can not only split push, but he's like maxed out agility at all times. He can actually aid you in pushing down these towers pretty.
He's fearless, man. Like, it's the same thing with the Void. They don't have to worry about getting nuked down before they get a single spell off. There was the problem of the Venge Witch Doctor opener. It comes back to the fact that you can then suddenly go for heroes like Weaver, Morphling, Anti-Mage, Ember, Void. These kinds of heroes can just completely ignore offensive threats and go for full YOLO plays because there's nothing to stop them.
Dire's middle tower is under
The
attack.
Exorcism pop. This will be a tier 2 tower going down at the top lane. Not much Team Spirit can really say about it.
Radiant's top tower has fallen.
Look at the Vlad's pretty much done here. It's very close to being complete for the Void. And from there, like you said, it's a huge pushing tool. It's going to also help them a lot from the damage of the Terrorblade. But we do see actually a fight despite the Void's absence.
Can help that Iceberg, but it does bring him deeper into the clutches of the Death Prophet, and in the end, it results in his death nonetheless, and they don't get any sort of counter kill. Afterlife will wave goodbye as he TPs back to base, but Team Spirit,
is under attack.
another fruitless attempt by them in the top lane, and with that kind of engagement, where Team Spirit just get no hold on the game whatsoever, Vega Squadron can go ahead and transfer this pushing power now into the tier 2 at mid lane. With the Serpent Wards now up, they don't need Exorcism after just killing the OD. Max got his Chronosphere anyway, and as we see, Death Prophet is still something to be feared thanks to that Soul Siphon.
She's got her own sustain. Even though Hand of God and Mechanism is on cooldown, she can still be very confident in her second life, in her Spirit Siphon. She's always going to stay on top of her opponents. So she's... Right now, the Team Spirit just don't have the damage, don't have the disable. They don't have an answer for what Vega are bringing right now. So I guess what their play has to be is a quick smoke. Now look at some Master Rewards. Look at some gold here onto a few heroes. But I think they have to make what you're talking about before, that smoke play with at least the Tusk and the Venge and probably one or two more. It is kind of this hard balance where because all your lanes are being pushed in, there's all these wards covering the map for Vega that you have to keep it subtle. You have to show at least a hero, if not two, but you have to find that opening. You have to find some smoke momentum because one kill is not going to cut it. You need to tap into that comeback mechanic.
1-9, 14 minutes in. The OD is going to try and help out with this push into the middle lane. They're going to get the quick pick off on Shadow Shaman, maybe not so quick. The silence there allows Yum the Slayer to actually be able to live. Iceberg doesn't have enough nukes. Now the Chronosphere gets laid out. Mag will finish up the kill on the OD. And once again, Team Spirit push out thinking they could get something. There's an immediate slap back down from Vega Squadron, keeping them still at 1 kill. Team Spirit, the link is now complete on the Morphling. I'm not sure how they can do anything in this game, but maybe kill Shadow Shaman a couple of times.
That's very true. It's going to be like he's the prime target because honestly, he's got as much. He doesn't have as much comeback gold as the other heroes because of kill streaks, but he's still going to be giving them something. So Shadow Shaman is definitely their easiest hero to kill and the one they probably need to focus because everything else he's just soaking up damage. Like the worst case scenario is Morphling has to put half of his agility into strength. That is the bottom worst case scenario unless he's diving the fountain or the tier 4s.
Bull tornadoes incoming as they're gonna push down this tier 3 tower. Looks like Exorcism and Wards are prepared for this one. Fortunately, it's not a level 2 Exorcism, so it is gonna be a bit slower. Team Spirit know they need to try and push this back without the Terrorblade. He just took the tier 2 tower. Pretty big influx of gold, but he's still not a fighting hero just yet. Always want to fly. Almost going to be dunked on by Pashas. Doesn't have quite enough right clicks. Take the lane of Rax by 15 minutes. Terrorblade, yeah, there's nothing he can do about it. He knows it too. He's just continuing to push, trying to take a tier 3 tower, but now Pasha's already here, slowing him down. He managed to get the quick pick off there, and it almost seems like Team Spirit feels like they're about ready to call GG. Things have just gotten so dramatically terrible for them in such a rapid pace.
Yeah, the network graph is straight linear. Like it's just straight up showing Vega taking piece by piece, objective by objective, kill by kill, the massive advantage that just has really no contest to it. As long as they play as a group and they play smart, Vega are pretty much know they have this one in the bag. They have so much survivability on the Death Prophet. We actually have a point booster for her and for the Chen as well coming out, but just the Yules alone, along with the Mech and Hand of God, makes it almost impossible to bring her down with Team Spirit's draft. And we could say that same thing for the Face of Void, same thing for the Morphling. They just have so much that Team Spirit are lacking to control. They don't have an Ancient Apparition to prevent the self-healing from like Morph and Time Walk and things like that. It's just, it's their last ditch right here with this last smoke.
Yeah. Team Spirit, they gotta get a really big pick off. Take down Morphling somehow. I honestly don't know how. But, because just like, as long as the Morphling is fast enough on his fingers, he should always be able to get away. Because what can they do? They can Astral Imprison to break the Linkins, and then Magic Missile. Like, that's their fastest nuke they have, I think.
Yeah, I mean, and you probably have to go for Swap instead of Astral, because if you look at Astral's range and the fact that OD doesn't have a blink, there's no way you could actually be that close to a Morphling.
Yeah, true. It'd have to be some sort of weird scenario where, like, they're smoked up and they round the corner on Pasha, surrounded by all these stunners at once.
Ever-looming fog of war. But we'll see 9 Pasha, Pasha, whatever. He's going to go in for the wave. The Adaptive should set up, if they wanted a Chrono onto 2, it might be worth it just to take 2 off the table. But you remember these level 8, level 9 heroes respawn so quickly that the Faceless Void Chronosphere is not worth 2 supports' lives almost, when they could just take it to the base.
Another round of pushing, this time with a level 2 Exorcism, and really nothing has changed when it comes to Team Spirits and their builds. In fact, even levels are pretty much the same. Terrorblade has a Yasha. Iceberg has yet to complete his Throt of Atos. So it doesn't seem like we're going to have much of a difference in outcome. This push, Vega Squadron have pretty much already secured it. The tier 3 tower is about to go down. Of course, this time around, the Terrorblade has to fight. They can't lose 2 lanes of Rax already, but may actually happen if he doesn't get into this fight soon. Exorcism almost takes out the range Raxes. They're going to start pushing back with this Metamorphosis. Vega Squadron, there goes the Death Ward as well. Vega Squadron will call it a day. Managed to take a tier 3 and almost a ranged Rax with that.
Mag still has this blink though, waiting for a good Chrono. Might still be able to set his team up even without the Exorcism.
Quick pick off on Iceberg. We'll see. Mag has been spotted out. He's not really going to be able to do anything here. Silence And oh, now the jump in.
goes.
Get the Chronosphere onto the two sports in the background. Afterlight's going to be pumped back. They also got the Vengeful Spirit. Snowball stay for a little bit. The Terrorblade's trying to right-click away at Yum the Slayer, but even he's living. He managed to get the hold on to Iceberg, but quickly is taken out. Ramsey's silenced up, has no opportunity to be able to get off his Thunder, which just leaves Iceberg, but with a bash and some heroes surrounding him, he is going to go down here. Can't even TP away in time.
And there we go. Even without an exorcism, they're going to be able to just walk up to the high ground with this creep wave, and that's going to be the mid lane for sure.
No exorcism, no death wards.
Radiant's middle barracks are under attack.
Clears it out, and I mean that was just good patience. Mag was completely inside the trees there, so I think like they had an idea of him flanking, but I don't think they had his exact location. And setting up a 3-man Chronosphere is all that you need for that kind of a fight when they already have the massive item advantage. So from here, Roche will respawn in 2 minutes. I think that's going to be their key for the top lane, just because if 6.83 taught us anything, it's protect your advantage.
A blade for the Morphling.
Time is money.
Funny thing is, he's gotten this so early, he doesn't actually have that high of levels. So he doesn't have like, that big full-out adaptive strike just yet. Still enough to kill anybody he comes across with the wind form. Sure enough, you can see it there. Vengeful Spirit instantly goes down. Afterlife going to try and block out Pasha, but he's got no backup whatsoever.
Yeah, there it is.
Finally, they caught. I was going to make some sort of pun about Team Spirit and, showing Team Spirit by staying in the game despite racks being down. But, I mean, it's 20 minutes in. Two lanes are racked down by 20 minutes. I've never seen a comeback even close to that, so they finally call it.
Certainly not with these heroes. Like, you're up against Faceless Void, a Morphling that go late, the Death Prophet that's almost got our Octarine Yules. Like, it's not even just the metrics, it's the circumstances around them. Vega just outdrafted them completely. I feel Team Spirit made the mistake of letting the Chen through,